Samaki Walker went on the Brown and Scoop CBS Sports Radio show.
I think my draft suit allowed him to fly under the radar with that white outfit he wore with that hat. People talk about my draft suit, and I look back at those pictures that Ty Malone had, it was barely at his stomach.
Reggie, know you're reaching when you're like, oh, look, everybody else looks bad too.
No,
I'm not the only one out here.
My brother Reggie Miller was sitting on the floor with his back against the couch when he got picked. I seen that footage. So there's some really bad ones, but I guess mine is the worst, and I own it.
Well, Samaki Walker wasn't talking about his draft suit on the Brown and Scoop show. Let's just take a quick listen to what Samaki had to say.
He comes to me on the bus and asks me where his $100 are. I told him, listen, we were going to shoot around at the time. Now, I don't have no $100 on me right now. Like, first of all, why is he coming at me about $100? I put my earphones back on. Kobe, he sucker punched me. All hell broke loose. The street came out at me, and Phil stands up. looks crazy, like, what the hell is going on? And I told him, listen, this man just put his hands on me. You need to stop this bus. Unfortunately, he didn't want to step off the bus because we knew what was going to happen next.
So that's the story that Samaki Walker told about. Let me give you a little background.
Can I say something I'm not proud of? I've been in a lot of fights. Not proud of it. Okay? That sounds like an individual that had an opportunity to fight another individual that he was upset with. He didn't address it then. So to be honest, I don't care about addressing it now.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, in his commentary, he said the street came out in me when this other individual put his hands on me.
When Kobe Bryant hit
that
Samaki
sounds
Walker.
like a hold me back. Like, why do we have to stop the bus?
I understand.
The bus had no problems rolling when he punched him in the face.
But just, yeah, you could return fire, and I think the bus would still be okay. I think it was Phil Jackson standing up is what was sort of like said that he needed to stop the bus.
No, it's more of he's alluding to a power play. He's a superstar player on the team. I'm barely on the roster. If I hit him back, I may get cut.
Do you know what he said? He said later on in the show, he said Shaq's bodyguard, Jerome, was the one that talked him out of fighting Kobe.
Shaq got a bodyguard?
That's a great point, too. Why does Shaq need a bodyguard?
What did Rob Bay say?
He's the biggest
I'm
guy
not
in
a
the world.
sucker, so I don't need a bodyguard. It takes two to me.
So here's something I want to talk to you about.
But you know, I got a funny thing I want to say about Jerome. Who's Shaq's family that just gets on the payroll of all of these NBA teams by saying he's his bodyguard? That's awesome, Big Diesel. Put your people on.
Good for Jerome. This all started with each player putting in $100 in the pot and having a half-court shooting contest.
Happens daily.
So this is something that happens, and everyone puts in $100.
Tell you a funny story. We used to do that in Toronto consistently, and for some strange reason, that day all of us was missing. The day before, practice, we were all missing. The next morning, I woke up. I got traded from the Raptors to the Knicks on the day we were playing against each other. Sitting on the Knicks bench, woke up in Toronto as a Raptor. Morris Peterson, that game, hits a half-court shot, and he points right over to me because I owed him $500.
It was a $500 shot?
This is a true story.
So
he hit it in the game.
I have so many questions about this half-court shot thing, because here's one thing I want to say is if you don't have the $100 there in person, then you should not be able to be part of the game. You can't do this credit thing. That's what leads to all these problems.
David Jacoby, when I get my practice bag from the trainer, and I put on my practice uniform, and I put on my shoes that ain't the ones that I'm going to wear on the court, because real ballers don't do that if they can afford not to. You don't have any pockets for money. You don't go to practice with your wallet.
So then, who keeps track of all this? It just seems like it'd be so much work to track everybody down for $100, and you get this 48-hour window in which you can pay back or whatever. It just seems like you need a lot of organization. I would have an Excel spreadsheet just of everybody. I would have to call Michelle, your assistant, to work it all out.
I'm going to keep this real simple. When you're an NBA player or a public figure, or you're the breadwinner in your situation, you don't have a hard time tracking who owes you money. You have a hard time tracking who's going to actually pay you back.
That's what I'm saying.
So when you're going against other millionaires, you can remember that. because you're actually finally going to get paid back. So do you know how many people have text, called, emailed me, and asked me for savings and loans and told me when they were going to pay me back? If I got all of that money, you know what? I wouldn't need to hit the Powerball.
You're telling me, okay, that an NBA basketball player is so upset about his $100 that he wants to get back that he sucker punched another NBA basketball player.
He just didn't like him. That's what that sounds like to me.
That's what it boils down to.
He wanted a reason.
Also, have you ever made a bet with your friend?
I make a lot of bets.
Okay, we've made a lot of bets.
We have.
You know how many pull-ups I owe you? Like, I would be Diesel. I wouldn't even be able to fit in this studio if I did all the pull-ups that I owe you. Because I think there's bets, and then there's, like, quote-unquote bets. You know what I mean? Do you know how many lobster tempuras does Bill owe you? Enough to fill this room.
A lifetime supply.
Exactly. It's just like, so those are just things that people say that aren't real bets. And, like, how do you know the difference? Are all sort of like NBA player team bets payable?
This is how it works when you're a professional basketball player. Anytime we say bet, book it. So if you standing in the corner and I'm walking off the court and I'll be like, bet 100, and you shoot it, if you make it, I owe you. If you miss, you owe me.
And there's a 48-hour window when you have to pay. What are the repercussions?
No.
What are the repercussions?
You got the breaks. Whoa. You heard about Jerry Stackhouse and Christian Laettner on the airplane, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, they had a physical altercation about the money. Okay, it's a real deep, in-depth thing people do in the NBA when teams are gambling. When we gambled, I didn't play poker. There were chips involved. Certain players brought the chips. You bring the mountains of cash. You bring the bags of cash. But more importantly, you got to pay by stretching the next morning. Unless practice started at 9 where you couldn't get to the bank.
I have a question. Or what?
No, it's just
what?
It's just a gentleman, or you get punched in the face.
Apparently.
Apparently that's what happens. How about this? If I'm IK, I still want my money from Gino. It's the exact same thing.
Or just a plane ticket refund. You know what I mean? I'll take that.
Or you know what?
Just a credit from Delta.
Maybe Kobe just needed a sparring partner after what happened with Chris Childs.
And maybe that's what it is. He got 2 pieces by Chris Charles.
And maybe he got mad at Samaki Walker for not helping. Maybe that's what it was.
Who knows? And maybe he hacked Byron Scott's account, and Kobe is the one. Maybe this Kobe was actually Kobe. That just blew my mind.